Just thought I'd do a quick sort of chat or discussion about something that's come up in my mind over the last week or so, or last few days, in terms of where the game's going, and it's the subject of PvP. It's not been a part of the game. It's never been something that has been sort of cut out of the game. We've never said you can't PvP. We've always said it's an open system, and as long as people aren't being absolute dicks with each other out of character, then options are open for pretty much several lines of play. The sort of move now that's sort of made me think about, talking about this a little bit more, is that we now have players in sort of senior positions on the side of Bunker Fortitude, which was until recently obviously an enemy of Bunker Ascendant. And should things change or communicate, if diplomacy breaks down, there's maybe a specific event where players are pushed together and it's a race for a sort of victory in a mission or something like that. There's an entirely possible event that could be like pushed towards by players or events that could result in you having two military forces with players on each side. And obviously in that event, it's what normally happens in a military encounter in HASC is one side wipes the other out, and occasionally some people manage to limp away, but more often than not it's a wipeout, and normally Ascendant wins. Not always, obviously, as people have seen. So when you got players either side, obviously things change up a little bit, and the stakes become a lot more real. In terms of how we would manage this, my thoughts are, and I want to have an open conversation about this, so welcome comments on this video and things like that, is that we would allow something like this to happen, but it would be pre-organised. It would be made very clear to players what they were entering into. The laser guns take care of themselves and make sure players aren't cheating or that sort of thing, so that would sort itself out. And it would run as any other mission. The exception that I'm thinking about is the Cassivac skill, where it's possible where if we had this sort of military player versus player operation, that the Cassivac skill may work slightly differently, in that downed players are allowed a longer time before Cassivac becomes ineligible for use. Again, it's just an idea at the moment, and I welcome some ideas on that, or whether players would prefer to still have that risk of you're sort of dead in 15 minutes, or if you'd like it to be that, as long as you aren't captured, you can be recovered at the end of the operation. It might be that there's some rules of war that one side will leave the other side's casualties alone, a bit like Geneva Convention, that sort of thing, to allow medics to come and pick people up after an objective's been achieved. So there's a few things we can talk about and discuss on that, but what I just want to get sort of put forward is that we are thinking about these kinds of things. They can happen. We have no issues with them happening. What we don't want to happen is players to be put out by this happening because it happens without their consent. It happens in a way that they're not expecting. That's what we want to avoid. So I'm going to put this video up in the Facebook group, and I welcome any sort of comments on it. Again, don't be thinking that this is something that we are pushing for as gems. We are not. It's just something I've been thinking about last few days. If it's going to happen, it now has a more chance of happening if things start to go wrong with Bunker Fortitude, etc. And again, not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just thinking about eventualities. So yeah, open to any comments, open to having chats about it. I'm guessing that people won't be that bothered until it sort of might look like it's heading that way, and then we can have more chats. But yeah, just wanted to be open about the thoughts we've been having about that. Thank you.